Now that the housing market is expected to cool off, you may be wondering if you should wait to buy a house. See if prices will drop or even crash, as some people are predicting. Housing crash prediction is all over social media, but is that realistic? I'm going to talk about that, look at some indicators of what's really going on with the market. There's 2 points of view on what's happening right now. One is that home prices will drop in a year. The other is that home prices will not drop, but just go up at a slower pace. The first camp, the price drop camp, says that interest rates are so high right now that buyers are dropping out of the market and the reduced competition will cause a drop in home prices. So when someone predicts a price drop, they are saying that homes will cost less in the future. And a house that is now valued at $200,000 will have a lower value, maybe $190,000 in a year or two. So the advice there is to wait to buy a house until interest rates come down and home values drop. The other camp says buy because home values will continue to go up. Maybe not at the furious rate we're seeing now, but they will not drop. So the advice there is to buy now because prices will be higher as you wait. And you can refinance later if interest rates go down. So do you stay or do you go? Here's what some pretty reliable sources have to say about it. The first one is from Motley Fool, a well-known investment firm, saying you should wait to buy a house. And the second is from Dave Ramsey saying you should not wait. So quoting Motley Fool, mortgage rates are likely to keep rising this year due to plans on the part of the Federal Reserve to raise its federal funds rate several times in 2022. As borrowing gets more expensive, buyer demands is likely to wane. That could, in time, lead to lower home prices. Furthermore, since 2020, sellers have held off listing homes due to economic and pandemic-related uncertainties. If seller sentiment changes this year, we could see an influx of homes hit the market. The combination of more inventory and reduced buyer demand could change the housing market from seller-friendly to buyer-friendly over the course of the next year. And so, unless there's a pressing need to purchase a home today, as a buyer, you're better off sitting tight and waiting for market conditions to improve. So, those guys are saying wait. That there's likely to be an increase in supply and a decrease in demand because of the higher interest rates. Second point of view, the buy now side. Here's what a guy I follow have to say, Dave Ramsey.
Usually say this, is what I'm saying.
Can't wait.
Right now is the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years. Right now. And here's why. Okay? Prices are not going to go down. Some of you are saying, well, I'm going to wait for prices to come down. You're not going to get them.
Yeah.
They're not coming down.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to go up slower, but they're not going to go down. They may not go up hardly at all, but they're not going to go down. And so 5 years from today, houses are going to be more expensive. This is as cheap as it's going to be in the next 5 years. So this is the best price right now if you're going to buy a house. Well, interest rates are up. Buy the house. If interest rates come back down, refinance.
Yeah.
But don't not buy waiting on interest rates to come down. Just refinance the mortgage if interest rates come down. This is the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years. And here's what's weird. This is also the best time to sell a house in the next 5 years. Why? Because we're still have semblance of the crazy white hot market around. And it's really just vibrating. It's still really, like if you're a seller, you really have a real hot commodity right now. You got a nice house, you put it on the market, it'll go. And it'll go for a really good price right now. And it may not be that way 6 months from now. The market may slow down enough that as a seller, you may have to sit on a house for a while.
You never have to wonder about what Dave Ramsey thinks. I like his no bull approach and his knowledge on all things real estate. So he's saying that prices won't drop, but the crazy rate they are increasing may slow down and even flatten. So those are two pretty strong statements at opposite ends of the spectrum from two pretty good sources. I lean more toward the Dave Ramsey view of the situation, and here's why. The Motley Fool opinion that I quoted earlier, that there's a bunch of homeowners that are holding off putting their homes on the market due to COVID concerns, but are now ready to sell, that doesn't take into account that those homeowners probably refinanced to a rate lots lower than what they could get now if they sold and bought another home. So they have less incentive to sell now with these high interest rates. So I don't think supply is going to increase much because of that. Also, even though new construction has increased, it hasn't yet caught up with the construction shutdown during the pandemic. The thing that might affect supply is investors. They may foresee a slowdown and put their properties on the market. So that could boost supply a bit, but not enough to cause a big shift. On the demand side, high interest rates will knock some buyers out of the market. But there's a large group, millennials, wanting to become homeowners. So that's going to boost the demand side. With all that going on, it seems to me the supply-demand equation is not in for a huge shift. But really, no one has a crystal ball, so something could come along and change all this. So you really just have to go by what's going on now and what seems like a reasonable outcome. If you are considering the pros and cons of buying now over waiting, there are other considerations that go into that decision. Mainly if you are financially ready with a stable income and you plan on staying put for a while. The ability to buy a house and sell a year later for a profit is not likely going to be the case as it has been. So you'll need to be in a house for a few years to see any profit from a sale, because you won't be able to count on those kind of price increases we've seen. And there's a cost involved in selling, things like transfer taxes, title search fees, broker fees. So be sure to factor that in when you decide to sell. So that's my 2 cents on all this. I'd really be interested in what you all think of the market now and where it's headed. So leave a comment if you get a chance. I'd love to see that. If you are home shopping, the video over there to my right has some good tips on buying a home in a seller's market. So check that out and contact us anytime. 304-264-2828. Thanks so much. Have a great day. I'll see you next week. Bye.